So tomorrow you'll have a CBA. The CBA is going to cover factoring, and it's going to cover the laws of exponents. So you'll want your star chart tomorrow, and maybe some highlighters. The main thing that I really wanted to go over with you was the back questions that I hand wrote on your review. So if y'all will go to the back, these questions, all three of these types are on your CBA tomorrow, and one of them I have not thoroughly gone over yet, and so I want to make sure we go over that, and that's number 18. The main thing you need to know is when you factor a trinomial, the A cannot have a negative. Did y'all hear what I said? When you factor a trinomial, the A cannot have a negative. So you will have to factor it out before you do the X method. So does everybody see how this A term has a negative? Yes? You will factor out a negative. Even though they don't all have it in common, the A cannot be negative. So you factor it out and you say, okay, I'm going to pull a negative out. And I'm going to leave what is left in the parentheses. So what is left? 3x squared minus 11x. Why does this one get a negative? Because a negative times a negative would give me a... So basically you're just turning them all opposite, right? Okay, and then this one's also going to become a positive. So again, you're going to pull the negative out, and everything is basically just going to become opposite. And in your answer, when you factor, this negative just gets left on the outside of a binomial. So that's the only thing that's different. You're going to do the X method the same. So what is A times C? 3 times 6 is 18. And what is B? Negative 11. So I'm looking for factors of 18 that add up to negative 11. So what are my factors of 18? 1 times 18, 2 times 9. Yes, would 2 times 9, if I put negatives on them, add up to negative 11? Yes, so this would be a negative, this would be a negative. So I have negative 2 over A. Notice that A is now positive, yes? So 3 and negative 9 over 3. And now I have to simplify those. This one's good to go. And this one needs to be simplified by dividing the top and bottom by 3. So I have negative 3 over 1. Okay, so bottoms up, so I have 3x minus 2 times 1x minus 3. Now, where does this negative go? Out to the side. Now, on the CBA tomorrow, the question's going to ask, I hope you're listening because this is important. The question's going to ask, it's going to be multiple choice, and it's going to say which of the following is a factor. And it's either going to have this one or this one. It's not going to have both. So you don't even have to worry about the negative anymore, because it'll either be 3x minus 2 or x minus 3, because they already know that you factored out the negative. Make sense? Okay, you must factor out the negative. There's only one question on the CBA like that tomorrow. Okay? Now, this one, this is called the perfect square binomial. Do you see if I square root the x, y'all agree x squared, if I square root it is x, because x times x is x squared? Is 25 also a perfect square root? What's the square root of 25? When you do this, you can do the X method and it will work, but I just wanted y'all to see that if it looks like this and it's just a squared minus and a perfect square root, it's literally just going to be square root x. What is the square root of x squared? X. And what is the square root of 25? So it would be x plus 5 for one of them and x minus 5 for the other. It is just a rule that works for perfect square root binomials. Now, if you want to do the X method, it will still work. So I'm going to show y'all. What is A times C? 1 times negative 25 is? Negative 25. What is the B? Is B there? Remember, B would go in the middle. It would be x squared plus something x. Isn't that a 0 if it's not there? So that's a 0. So I would say, what are my factors of 25 that add up to 0? Well, what's 5 times 5? 25. What if I add a negative? Would those add up to equal 0? Yes, so I have negative 5 over 1 and 5 over 1. Isn't that exactly what I got? So there's one question on the test tomorrow that if it doesn't have ax squared plus bx minus c, the bx is 0. So this is 0. Again, though, if you don't want to do the x method and you see it and they're perfect square roots, it's just x plus the square root and x minus the square root. That's just the rule. But the x method does work. Okay? Questions on that one? Okay, tell me about this last one. If I wanted to factor this, what is the first thing I have to do? Pull out the greatest common factor. And I think number 1 on your CBA is like this tomorrow. You have to pull out the greatest common factor. If you don't, it's not going to work. So what is the greatest common factor between these 3 terms? 2. So if I pull out a 2, I'm left with x squared plus 4x plus 3. Now can I factor it using the x method? Yes. So I do my x method. I have a times c. Now which one am I using when I do the x method? The original or the one that I've already factored out the greatest common factor? This one. What is a times c? 1 times 3 is 3. And what is b? What are my factors of 3 that add up to 4? 3 times 1. So 3 and 1 over a, and a is 1. So bottoms up, I have 1x plus 3 times 1x plus 1. But what do I do with this 2? It gets pulled out to the side. Now question, if it's multiple choice tomorrow and it doesn't have this as an answer, what if it says which of the following is a factor? Then you would pick one of these. Make sense? Like one of those is the factor.
Are those going to be on there?
No, there would only, now it could say which of the following is a factor, choose 2 answers, they're check marks, then yes, you would pick both of them. But if it's just multiple choice, then absolutely only one of those would be there. Now they might have like an x minus 3 just to confuse you or something like that. So remember, it has to match those perfectly. Okay? All right. I also want to talk to you about number 15. These are absolutely on the test tomorrow. Okay? Number 15 is not. It is a hard question that was asked on I think it was 2 years ago on the EOC, and it really frustrated me because my students did not know how to do it, and it was so easy. So if you look at it, it says, what is the quotient represented by this expression for all values of W where the expression is defined? I stared at it forever trying to figure out how to do this problem. Guys, if I said, like, pretend that's not the problem. If I said 10 over 2 and I said, what's the answer? Wouldn't you say 2 times what is 10? Right? But wouldn't you say the bottom number times something would give you 10? Are y'all with me? So wouldn't we say this bottom times one of these would give us that? Does that make sense? So you basically had to say, okay, if I have 2w plus 1 and I multiply it by this, and I FOIL it, would it give me that answer? So let's do it. First, 4w times 2w is 8w squared. Outer, 4w times 1 is 4w. Inner, 12 times 2w is 24w. And last. Okay, well, that can't be it because 24 plus 4 is 28. So then I would just try the next one. Do y'all see how that question works? Are y'all sure? Okay, so I wanted y'all to see this question, but I didn't want to put it on the CBA because it was just so confusing. Okay, the other thing I wanted to go over with y'all was, I'm not going to go over it with you, but number 9. Number 9 says which expression is equivalent to, wait, not number 9. It was number 10. Yeah, number 9. Which expression is equivalent to this? Do y'all see that that's scientific notation? What did I tell y'all about scientific notation? You don't have to use the laws of exponents. You can simply type it in your calculator. But look at number 8. That one's not going to go in your calculator, is it? This one, you're going to have to use your laws of exponents. So you'll need to get your star chart out and use those laws of exponents. Are y'all good with that? Okay, I'm going to leave y'all an answer key to your review. You may check your work as you go. But please, please, please make sure you're good with 18, 19, and 20 that we just went over, because they are on your CBA 100%. They're on it tomorrow with different numbers, of course. Okay, do y'all have any questions? Okay.